Welcome to JGod Gaming. In today's video I'll be explaining how to win more gunfights in Call of Duty World War II. I'll be coming out with a video explaining how to aim better very soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that by subscribing to my channel. I received a good amount of requests on how to actually win more gunfights in Call of Duty, so what I did was I created a large list of all different ideas I could think of, and then I narrowed it down to 5 main concepts. The first one is attaching rapid fire on all auto weapons. The second thing is hip firing when within range of an enemy. The third thing is slowing down your overall movement. The fourth thing is choose the right basic training for you. And the fifth and final one is use the movement to your advantage. First up is making sure you use rapid fire on all auto weapons. This is a huge tip because almost everyone's running around with this attachment. Even though it doesn't make a huge difference, it's coded to increase your rate of fire by approximately 6 to 7%, which doesn't seem like a huge difference, but when a gunfight ends in just milliseconds, 6 to 7% over your opponent is a significant deal. So keep in mind that faster fire rate weapons will see an increased boost from this 6 to 7% because it scales based off percent and is not a fixed amount. So that is going to be it for tip number 1. The second tip I have for you is making sure that you hip fire when you're within range of an enemy. The hip fire accuracy in Call of Duty World War II is one of the most effective and most accurate compared to prior Call of Duties. The other advantage in hip firing is the sprint out times as well as aim down sight times contribute to the overall effectiveness because they are very slow. For those maybe unfamiliar with what sprint out times are, or maybe not familiar, it is the time between pulling the trigger and your soldier actually firing a shot. And it tends to be slower across the board when you're sprinting as opposed to walking, and then definitely as standing still. By hip firing on an enemy, you're able to land a few shots before they're even able to land one by taking advantage of the slower sprint out and aim down sight times. Something to keep in mind with hip firing is maybe not always the most natural thing. You're going to want to aim down sight usually, so breaking that habit is a little bit harder to do. It requires a little bit of practice. So doing a little bit of practice with bots is a good way to do it, and just make it a conscious effort to practice more hip firing when you're close within a certain amount of range. So that is going to be it for tip number 2. The third tip I have for you is slowing down your overall movement. It may sound a little weird at first, but the name of the game is patience in all areas in Call of Duty World War II. When you run around the map frequently, you happen to get head-to-head gunfights with another player that's already aiming down sights, and because of the slow sprint out time, you're almost guaranteed to lose those gunfights. So by slowing down your movement and walking more often than running, I'm not saying don't run at all because you might need to run from location to location, but walking over running, you should increase your likelihood of winning those gunfights. The other added benefit of walking around everywhere is that your footsteps are less audible, and that helps you in a couple different ways. The first way is that your opponents will have a hard time pinpointing where you're coming from. And the second benefit is that you will be able to hear enemy footsteps easier since your own footsteps won't be distracting you. So that is it for tip number 3. 3 tips are down, only 2 more to go. Just a friendly reminder, remember to rate the video with a like and subscribe if you haven't already and are enjoying the video so far. On to tip number 4. The fourth tip is to choose the right basic training for you. Everyone has their favorites, but the general consensus is that primed is the top tier combat training in the game. And I completely agree with the general consensus because it gives you that extra attachment, which isn't really that big a deal. It's nice, but it's not the main benefit. The main benefit everyone wants to use primed is because it gives you a real benefit in the sense that it's going to reduce flinch in the game. It's the only thing that can reduce flinch in the game. Flinch is a random component that creates inconsistencies in gunfights. So if you ever got into a gunfight and you fire on somebody and then they hit you and then your aim assist just goes all out of whack, that's probably because of flinch. So with running this particular combat training, you're going to have a reduced flinch across the board, which in theory should allow you to win more gunfights. Another great combat training is the scoped combat training, since it allows you to strafe faster in gunfights and it reduces idle sway. Or you can run the infantry division so you can get that faster strafing speed. Either way, a faster strafing speed will allow you to become a harder target to hit and take advantage of both aim assist. The main part of the aim assist I'll be focused on is rotational aim assist. Rotational aim assist only works when you're moving. So if you're strafing, you're automatically going to get that additional aim assist that someone standing still will not. One of the best parts I like about scoped is it's one of the easiest to get. You just prestige your infantry division and it'll be unlocked by default at level 1. This is an advantage over the primed one because you can't unlock that one until level 32, or you have to use one of your prestige tokens. If you're not in a position where you want to do either of those, you can get used to using scope and you should be able to win some good gunfights as well. And the last combat training I'll be talking about is Flanker. Flanker, it keeps you off the minimap while moving and it delays the activation of the S-mine, which both of these are pretty good because they can synergize well with the airborne division, because when you're using an SMG and a suppressor, you're going to stay off the map. In addition to the Flanker, you're going to be able to stay off the minimap as well. They won't hear your gunfire, they won't see you. You'll just be able to come around, flank people, and you win most gunfights because you never actually get into any. That is going to be it for tip number 4. The 5th and final tip I'll be discussing on how to win gunfights in Call of Duty World War II is taking advantage of the movement system in the game. I've already talked about this first one a little bit, which is strafing. It works well with the scope combat training as well as the infantry division because that faster strafing will allow you to win more gunfights just because you're going to be a harder target to hit. The rotational aim assist is very important. I will highlight that as well, that you should be moving at all times when you're in a gunfight. The next ones I'll be talking about are a little combined. It's the drop shot and the jump shot. My first recommendation when doing either of these is to adjust your layout of your buttons. It's a little bit more ergonomic to change them up a little bit because you can maintain your aim while actually doing the jump shot and the drop shot. And the way to do that is to either switch it to a tactical layout, a bumper jumper layout, a bumper jumper tactical layout, or stick and move. Either of these will allow you to maximize your ability to jump shot and drop shot in the game. Both jump shotting and drop shotting can be very effective because they catch your opponent off guard. That's one part of it, but if I had to choose one over the other, I would say jump shotting is a little bit more effective because it doesn't have the same delay in firing your weapon that drop shotting does. If you've ever gone to a drop shot and try to pull the trigger, there's a significant delay between you landing and actually being able to land shots. Although I am recommending to use the jump shot, I wouldn't say use it non-stop. I would say use it when you get into these gunfights where it will help you out. And obviously that's going to take practice. Most people aren't used to people doing jump shots, even though a lot of people are getting accustomed to doing them in game. It'll still catch people off guard and allow you to win some more gunfights just because they'll just miss shots because they can't adjust for that actual jump. And that's going to do it for tip number 5 on how to win more gunfights in Call of Duty World War II. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'd like to know your thoughts down in the comments section below, so make sure you leave a comment. If you are still watching the video, remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.